Ashley Hinson, a Republican from Iowa, has introduced a bill that would require men to pay 50% of all maternity costs, basically forcing men to be stuck with the bill for a pregnancy. But here's the real kicker. You don't have to prove paternity, and there's a reason that this whole prove paternity for maternity care thing is a bad idea in general. If you try to do a paternity test before a child is born, you have to do a special kind where they go up in there and take some material from a fetus, basically. And there are risks associated with that form of paternity testing. There's actual risks to the child. So it's dangerous to do that. So the problem with this bill is that you don't have to do a test. You don't have to prove that the child is the child of the man that you point at and go, oh, he needs to pay my bills. He just has to pay your bills. And that's it. This violates so many of the amendments to the Constitution. It's just unreal. It's basically the state forcing men to pay women's bills for pregnancy. Now, I am not anti-sex. I've slept with my fair share of women. I know I don't look like it, but yeah, not a single one of those women ever had to open their legs. And I didn't have to sleep with them either. But in society, in all societies, women are the gatekeepers of sex because women have the most to lose. If you want men to pay for your maternity, if you want men to pay your hospital bills while you're pregnant, all you have to do is find a good man. It's not that hard if you would just not have unrealistic standards or go for criminals or whatever. Find a good man before you open your legs. Have someone you can have discussions with about, what if I get pregnant? Find someone who is a good partner and you are a good partner to them. But see, that's the problem, is that this law doesn't affect women who are good partners. This law affects women who are really bad partners and who aren't with men for whatever reason, and they bail, and then they expect the man that they just bailed on to pay for their pregnancy. And it could be any man that they bailed on. It doesn't have to be a particular one. All they have to do is say, that guy, I want him to pay my hospital bills. And you're just on the hook just because she said so. It is amazing how psychotic this is. Your body, your choice, and your hospital bill. Sorry, ladies, the feminist revolution happened. If you want to be a good feminist, guess what you've got to do? You've got to pay your own way. Pay for your own goddamn hospital bills. It's not my problem. It's not his problem. It's not his problem. It's not anyone's problem but your own. You could have not gotten pregnant by simply gatekeeping sex. Forcing the use of condoms, and women have like 40-something options for birth control. Men pretty much just have the pull-out, the condom, and the abstinence. So, if you want to make the birth control argument, as I have actually heard some women make, that there was a caller to a show about this. They said, well, men should use their birth control. They've got birth control available. I'm sorry, but no, men don't have that birth control available. About all they've got is to not have sex in the first place, which maybe is a good idea. Frankly, all the sex I've had, a lot of it wasn't worth it. The long-term partners, that might have been worth it, but all the little one-night stands and stuff, it didn't really do anything for me. A lot of them were mediocre or worse women. A lot of them were not worth the trouble. And a lot of them I would never want to have a relationship with. In retrospect, I'm glad that nothing ever really happened beyond a little fooling around and a few dates. There's a lot of bad partners out there on both sides, but the problem is, if you put people in a situation where they're going to pay your bills just because you point and say, that guy, now what you're doing is setting up a very strong incentive. And as Asmongold has said in several videos, follow the incentives. People do what the incentives incentivize. And if you incentivize people to not be accused what happens is you have people check out entirely. And it really pisses me off because this isn't an issue if people are poor enough. See, if you're stupidly poor, if you're some poor single mother who has no money at all, then the state pays your way through Medicaid. You can basically get Medicaid to pay 100% of your bills. But if you have any degree of success, if you have the ability to pay some of your bills, Medicaid doesn't cover you. So the state will pay for poor people to have babies. So this isn't a problem for poor women. But you know, it still could be. I haven't read the entire text of the bill. But the point is, it's funny how the state will pay all these hospital bills if you're broke. But the second you've got some degree of success to you, the second you're a productive member of society, you can pay the $12,000 hospital bill yourself. And it's funny how the debate is not like, why is the state stealing money from others through taxes to pay these hospital bills, but only for poor people? But then the people that are actually successful, that you would actually want to reproduce, have no incentive whatsoever to reproduce, because then it becomes this, you know, tens of thousands of dollars worth of hospital bills that you have to pay. You know, the reason smart people don't have babies is they cost too damn much. And that gets into a lot of economic stuff that this video is not even remotely about. But yeah, it's psychotic to me that the state incentivizes poor people to reproduce like bunny rabbits, mostly through the welfare systems, that give you more money for every single kid you can crank out, and that give you a lot more money as long as you're not with a partner. As long as you live separately and you aren't married, you can collect a metric ton more money because now you're a single mom, even though you might have the support of the partner. I can't possibly tell you how many times I've gone to some, like, when I do cable or whatever, I'd go to some like what do you call it? Like Section 8 complex or whatever. And there's all these people who are supposed to be broke. And you see several Mercedes, or, you know, there's a bunch of nice cars just lying around. You know, crappy houses with really nice cars in the front. It's like, these people are definitely not broke. There's something weird going on here, that they've got to have the money to pay for these things. You can lease a luxury car and get it cheaper that way, but you still got to have the money to pay the lease, and you still got to be hiding the money somehow so that the government doesn't know you have it, so you don't lose your benefits. So there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in that regard. But what pisses me off is that the government will provide benefits to people that are broke as snot, and that could be drug dealers on the side and all kinds of stuff. But then here we are saying just some random man some woman points at should be paying all of our hospital bills if the state doesn't pay them. I pick one. Come on, man. It's pretty straightforward. What we need to do is we need to change the law to disincentivize poor people to have babies, and to incentivize people who are not broke as snot and choosing to just sit around on their ass all day to have babies. You know, if you want the birth rate to rise, stop punishing the crap out of everybody that's remotely successful for having children that will also be successful. And it kind of makes you wonder, what's the real agenda behind all of this nonsense? What's really going on? And that's also probably a video for another lifetime. So I'll let you dig around on the internet and find your own conspiracy theory to explain it. I'm sure it'll probably involve the Illuminati, tiny hats, or, I don't know, the crabs from South Park? I have no idea. Anyway, this has gotten a little off track, but I just thought it was completely bonkers that this lady introduces a bill to make men pay for women's pregnancy bills, with no proof that the man is even the man that did it in the first place. I mean, it's basically like a criminal punishment, and I'm pretty sure that we have the 8th Amendment for a reason. The government can't just be like, oh, you got to pay her bills because she said so. Doesn't work that way. And I hope that this lady, Ashley Hinson, never gets voted in again. I hope that she gets laughed out of the, laughed out of the Senate or whatever, and that nobody ever lets people like her ever have power ever again. Because this kind of thing is insane and psychotic and evil and mean and nasty. And frankly, we don't need people like that in our society. We don't need people who, in power, who would pass a law that would attach you to another person simply on their say-so, with no other grounds, with no sort of safeguards. It's really dangerous, to be frank. Anyway, I'm tired of talking about this. I really just needed to get the thought out of my head. Thanks for listening. I'm not having any more babies, so it doesn't affect me, but, yeah, It's really sad, especially for younger men. It's not like my siblings don't have their own kids, some of which are male, and this is the kind of crap that they're going to have to deal with? No. Why don't you get the insurance companies out of the damn hospitals, or out of the medical system, and get those bills down so that this is a non-issue? But no, that would require that the insurance companies that lobby the crap out of people. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm not talking about this crap anymore. Take it easy.